I was walking down a dimly lit street one evening when I heard muffled screams coming from behind a clump of bushes. Alarmed, I slowed down to listen, and panicked when I realized that what I was hearing were the unmistakable sounds of a struggle. Heavy grunting, frantic scuffling, and tearing of fabric. Only yards from where I stood, a woman was being attacked. Should I get involved? I was frightened for my own safety, and berated myself for having suddenly decided to take a new route home that night. What if I became another statistic? Shouldn't I just run to the nearest phone and call the police? Although it seemed an eternity, the deliberations in my head had only taken seconds. But already the girl's cries were growing weaker. I knew I had to act fast. How could I walk away from this? No, I finally resolved. I could not turn my back on the fate of this unknown woman, even if it meant risking my life. I'm not a brave man, nor am I athletic. I don't know where I found the moral courage and physical strength. But once I had finally resolved to help the girl, I became strangely transformed. I ran behind the bushes and pulled the assailant off the woman. Grappling, we fell to the ground where we wrestled for a few minutes until the attacker jumped up and escaped. Panting hard, I scrambled upright and approached the girl, who was crouched behind a tree, sobbing. In the darkness, I could barely see her outline, but I could certainly sense her trembling shock. And not wanting to frighten her any further, at first I spoke to her from a distance. "It's okay," I said. "The man ran away. You're safe now." There was a long pause, and then I heard the words, uttered in wonder, in amazement. "Dad? Is that you?" And then from behind the tree stepped my youngest daughter, Catherine. Hi, thanks for taking time to stop by. I'm going to give you a brief outline of the project named The Ultimate Search, what it can mean to you if you're a sportswoman or man, if you're a player or a coach, if you're curious or interested in exploring proactively different options, powerful ways of bridging the gap. The Ultimate Search is a resource for any athlete that's open to embrace the critical non-essentials that World Cup winning coaches talk about. What we're proposing is to deploy tools and strategies used by people whose roles carry a heavy weight of expectation and pressure. These are alternative methods of inducing what we call the high-performance state in specific contexts of your game, whatever your sport. Parts of your game where your performance is blocked right now, obscured, where there's interference in your flow. Areas where you don't feel confident about the decision you're making, whether it's in your movement, your mental processing, whether it's in the speed and accuracy of your response to teammates or opponents. Whichever it is, the technology gets you into the zone so you can boost your performance exponentially, but without conscious thought. Because the conscious mind can focus on 7 ± 2 chunks of information at a time, that the unconscious has infinitely more access to the resources required to execute with speed, elegance, efficiency, and exquisite timing. And there is a way to manufacture that experience and apply it to any context where the little voice in your head keeps calling you back. Like those moments where your opponent comes at you with an avalanche of skill, dynamism and power that's overwhelming. Before you know it, you're in a hole so deep you can barely see the light. And it's much easier to accept that this time you were beaten by something or someone special. People will understand. And that is the trigger you've prepared for. The context that turns on all your circuits to full power, but somehow it's effortless. In rugby, the centre times his run and accelerates through a gap that didn't even exist a split second ago. The sprinter times her start perfectly to the sound of the gun and runs without tension. The jogger finds herself in a state where she feels she could go on forever. The golfer approaches the tee shot just knowing he's going to hit a beautiful drive. And he does.